My parents betrayed me by supporting the woman in court who cheated on me with a taxi driver in front of our children. Jake and Lisa had been married for 10 years. They had 2 beautiful children, Emma 8 and Liam 6. Their life seemed perfect. Jake worked as a software developer, and Lisa took care of the children and the home. They lived in a cozy house in the suburbs. One evening, Jake had to work late, which wasn't unusual. Lisa had taken the kids to her parents' house for dinner, so Jake was home alone. Around 9 p.m., he received a text from Lisa saying she would be home soon. She mentioned that the kids were tired and she had called a taxi to bring them home. At around 10 p.m., Jake heard a car pulling into the driveway. He went to the window to greet them, but what he saw made his blood run cold. Lisa was in the back seat of the taxi, passionately making out with the driver. Their kids were in the front seats, watching in confusion. Jake felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and sadness wash over him. He rushed outside, but by the time he reached the car, Lisa and the driver had already separated. She stepped out, looking flustered and guilty. The kids ran to Jake, confused and scared. He held them close and told them to go inside and get ready for bed. Lisa followed them in, avoiding Jake's gaze. Once the kids were settled, Jake confronted Lisa. She tried to deny it at first, but the evidence was undeniable. She admitted that she had been seeing the taxi driver, a guy named Tom, for a few months. She said she was sorry, that it was a mistake, but Jake couldn't look at her the same way. Their argument quickly escalated. The betrayal, the lies, and the fact that their children had witnessed everything made Jake's anger boil over. Lisa became defensive, and before he knew it, she slapped him. He was stunned, and without thinking, he pushed her away. She fell to the ground, and he immediately regretted it. He didn't want to hurt her despite everything. But Lisa didn't see it that way. She started screaming, accusing Jake of being abusive. The neighbors must have heard because within minutes, the police arrived. Jake was handcuffed and taken to the station, leaving the kids with a neighbor. The legal process was a nightmare. Lisa filed for a restraining order, claiming Jake had been abusive for years. Jake was blindsided. His own parents believed her lies, siding with her and cutting him off. They said he had always had a temper, which wasn't true. Jake had never laid a hand on Lisa or anyone else before that night. In contrast, Lisa's parents stood by Jake. They knew their daughter and her manipulative ways. They had seen her spiral into self-destructive behavior before, and they didn't believe her accusations for a second. They helped Jake get a lawyer and fight for custody of Emma and Liam. The court hearings were grueling. Lisa painted Jake as a monster while he tried to prove his innocence. His lawyer, a non-nonsense woman named Karen, was a godsend. She managed to poke holes in Lisa's story, revealing inconsistencies and bringing witnesses who testified to Jake's character. But the damage was done. The kids were traumatized, and Jake felt like his world was falling apart. Emma and Liam had to go through therapy, and Jake tried to be there for them as much as possible, despite the restrictions of the restraining order. During this time, shocking revelations came to light. Tom, the taxi driver, turned out to have a criminal record. He was involved in a series of petty crimes, and his involvement with Lisa seemed more sinister than Jake had initially thought. He was using her, and she was too blinded by her own issues to see it. As the court battle dragged on, Lisa's behavior became more erratic. She would show up drunk to hearings, make wild accusations, and even threaten to take the kids and disappear. It was a nightmare, but Jake kept pushing forward for the sake of his children. In one of the most shocking twists, it was revealed that Lisa had been embezzling money from her job. Her employer pressed charges, and she was arrested. This revelation turned the tide in Jake's favor. The court saw her for who she really was, a manipulative, untrustworthy person. In the end, Jake was granted full custody of Emma and Liam. Lisa was given supervised visitation rights, but she rarely used them. She was sentenced to prison for embezzlement, and her relationship with Tom disintegrated. Jake's parents, who had sided with Lisa, tried to reconnect, but the damage to their relationship was irreparable. He couldn't forgive them for believing Lisa's lies and abandoning him when he needed them most. Through it all, Lisa's parents remained supportive. They helped Jake with the kids and were a constant source of strength. He would always be grateful to them for standing by him. Now, a year later, Jake and his children were slowly rebuilding their lives. The kids were doing better, though they still had moments of confusion and sadness. Jake was trying to be the best father he could be, providing them with stability and love. One of the most challenging aspects had been dealing with the emotional aftermath. Emma started having nightmares, often waking up in the middle of the night, crying out for her father. Liam became more withdrawn, struggling to understand why his mother wasn't around as much. Jake made it a point to ensure they attended therapy sessions regularly, hoping they would find a way to process their emotions healthily. In the months following Lisa's imprisonment, Jake took some time off work to be more present at home. His boss was understanding, giving him the flexibility he needed to support his kids. They spent a lot of time together, taking small trips to the beach or the park, just to get away from the memories that haunted their home. Emma, being the older one, often asked questions about her mom. Jake tried to be as honest as possible, explaining that her mom made some bad choices and needed to face the consequences. It was heartbreaking to see the sadness in her eyes, but he knew it was necessary for her to understand the reality of the situation. Liam, on the other hand, found solace in art. He would spend hours drawing and painting, often depicting their family in happier times. His therapist suggested that art was his way of coping, and Jake encouraged it, filling their home with Liam's colorful creations. Jake's relationship with Lisa's parents grew stronger during this time. They visited often, bringing warmth and support. They would take the kids for weekends, giving Jake some much-needed respite. They were his lifeline, always ready to lend a hand or a listening ear. Meanwhile, the relationship with Jake's own parents was strained. They continued to insist that he reconcile with Lisa, believing that she would change once she was out of prison. It was frustrating and hurtful. Every conversation with them felt like an attack on his character and his decisions. Eventually, Jake decided to limit contact, focusing instead on the positive influences in his life. As they settled into their new routine, unexpected challenges kept cropping up. One day, Jake received a call from the school principal. Emma had gotten into a fight with another girl who teased her about her mom being in jail. It broke his heart to see her in such pain, but he knew he had to address it head-on. He spoke to her about standing up for herself while also finding constructive ways to handle her emotions. It was a delicate balance, but he hoped his guidance would help her navigate these tough situations. Financially, things were tough too. With Lisa's income gone, Jake had to make adjustments. They downsized to a smaller home closer to Lisa's parents. It was a difficult decision, but it made sense. The new house was cozy, and the kids quickly adapted, finding new friends in the neighborhood. It also meant they could see their grandparents more often, which was a blessing. In the new community, they found solace in simplicity. Their neighbors were friendly and understanding, often inviting them to barbecues and neighborhood gatherings. Slowly, Jake started to feel a sense of normalcy returning to their lives. The kids smiled more, laughed more, and their home was filled with moments of joy amidst the lingering shadows of the past. The court hearings and legal battles had left Jake mentally and emotionally drained, but as time went on, he began to see light at the end of the tunnel. His focus was on building a stable, loving environment for Emma and Liam. He knew that if they felt secure and loved, they would eventually heal. One particularly challenging day was when Lisa requested to see the kids. Despite her past actions, Jake believed it was important for them to maintain some relationship with their mother. Supervised visitation was arranged, and it was an emotional roller coaster. Lisa was remorseful, but the kids were wary. It was a step towards healing, but it was clear that it would take time for them to rebuild trust. In the midst of all this, there was a silver lining. Jake's work situation improved, and he received a promotion. It was a recognition of his hard work and dedication, even through personal turmoil. The promotion came with a raise, which eased some of the financial pressures. It was a moment of validation, a sign that things were slowly but surely getting better. As Emma and Liam's resilience grew, so did Jake's. He realized that they were stronger together, that their bond as a family was unbreakable. They started new traditions, like movie nights and weekend hikes. These simple activities became the foundation of their healing, creating new memories to overshadow the painful ones. Jake also made it a point to take care of himself. Therapy sessions, both individual and group, became a regular part of his routine. They helped him process his feelings of betrayal and anger, and slowly he began to forgive himself for the events that transpired. He learned to let go of the guilt and focus on being the best father he could be. 1 year after the incident, they decided to take a family trip to the mountains. It was a symbolic journey, a way to leave the past behind and embrace the future. Emma and Liam were excited, their faces lighting up as they drove through the scenic routes. The trip was filled with laughter, adventure, and moments of reflection. At one point during the trip, they found a secluded spot by a lake. As they sat by the water, Jake felt a sense of peace that he hadn't felt in a long time. Emma and Liam played by the shore, their laughter echoing through the trees. It was in that moment that Jake realized they had come a long way. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer defined them. They were moving forward, one step at a time. Returning home, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey was far from over, but he was confident that they were on the right path. Their lives had been turned upside down, but they had found a way to rebuild, to find joy amidst the chaos. As he reflected on the past year, Jake felt a mix of emotions. There was still a lot of healing to do, but he was hopeful. His children were his strength, and together they would continue to navigate this complex journey. Jake's parents tried to reconnect several times, but each attempt only deepened the rift. They couldn't understand why Jake couldn't just forgive and forget. They believed that Lisa's actions were a cry for help, and that as her husband, Jake should have supported her through her struggles. This perspective only fueled Jake's resentment. How could they overlook the pain she had caused him and the children? Meanwhile, Lisa's parents continued to be a pillar of support. They helped Jake with the children, providing both emotional and practical assistance. They understood the complexity of the situation and never pressured Jake to reconcile with Lisa. They even attended therapy sessions with the kids, helping them process their emotions and understand the changes in their family. As Jake's relationship with Lisa's parents grew stronger, he found himself relying on them more and more. They became a second set of parents to him, filling the void left by his own family's betrayal. This newfound closeness was a silver lining in the otherwise dark period of his life. One day, a letter arrived from Lisa. It was a heartfelt apology, filled with remorse and regret. She admitted to her mistakes and expressed a desire to make amends, not just with Jake, but also with Emma and Liam. She wanted to rebuild her relationship with them, to be a part of their lives again. Jake was torn. Part of him wanted to believe that Lisa had changed, that she truly regretted her actions, but another part of him was still wary, still hurt by the betrayal. He decided to talk to the children's therapist about it, seeking professional advice on how to handle the situation. The therapist suggested that Jake allow supervised visits, but only if the children were comfortable with it. Emma and Liam were hesitant at first, but after some reassurance, they agreed to see their mother. The first visit was emotional, filled with tears and hugs. It was clear that Lisa was genuinely remorseful, and the children, though still guarded, began to open up to her. As the visits continued, Lisa started to regain the trust of her children. It was a slow process, but Jake could see the progress. Lisa was making an effort to be a better mother, attending therapy herself and working on her issues. She even started volunteering at a local shelter, trying to give back to the community and make up for her past mistakes. Jake's feelings towards Lisa began to soften. He still couldn't forget what she had done, but he started to see her as a flawed human being, struggling to overcome her demons. He realized that holding on to anger and resentment wasn't helping anyone, least of all their children. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, but it meant moving forward and allowing space for healing. One evening, as they were sitting around the dinner table, Emma asked if they could invite their grandparents over for a barbecue. She missed having everyone together, the laughter and joy of family gatherings. Jake hesitated, knowing that it would mean inviting his own parents as well. But he saw the hope in his daughter's eyes and decided to give it a try. The barbecue was a tentative step towards mending broken relationships. Lisa's parents arrived first, bringing their warmth and support. Jake's parents showed up later, looking nervous and unsure. The atmosphere was tense at first, but as the evening progressed, the walls began to come down. Conversations flowed, laughter erupted, and for the first time in a long while, it felt like a family again. Jake's parents apologized for their actions, acknowledging the pain they had caused. It wasn't easy, but Jake accepted their apology. He realized that holding on to the past would only keep him trapped in a cycle of pain. It was time to let go and focus on the future. As the night drew to a close, Jake felt a sense of peace. The journey ahead was still long, but they were taking the right steps. They were healing, one day at a time, and building a new foundation for their family. Jake, Emma, and Liam continued to find strength in each other. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, built on a foundation of trust, love, and resilience. They knew that the past would always be a part of them, but it no longer defined them. They had the power to shape their future, and they were determined to make it a bright one. Lisa's journey was far from over. She had a lot of work to do, both personally and as a mother. But she was committed to making amends, to being a better person for her children. She knew that it wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face the challenges ahead. Jake's relationship with his parents remained complicated, but they were making progress. They were learning to communicate, to understand each other's perspectives, and to support each other in meaningful ways. It was a work in progress, but they were willing to put in the effort. As for Lisa's parents, they continued to be a source of unwavering support. They were there for Jake and the children, offering guidance, love, and stability. They were a testament to the power of family, showing that even in the darkest times, there is always a glimmer of hope. In the end, Jake realized that life is a series of ups and downs, filled with unexpected twists and turns. It's how we navigate these challenges that defines us. He learned that forgiveness is a powerful tool, that love can heal even the deepest wounds, and that the strength of a family can overcome any obstacle. Their journey was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever came their way. Together, they would continue to build a future filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. And as they looked towards the horizon, they knew that brighter days were ahead. Jake's recovery was long and painful, both physically and emotionally. His body was slowly healing, but the psychological scars were even harder to mend. He continued with physical therapy sessions, each one more grueling than the last. Nightmares plagued him, and he constantly feared for his children's safety. He installed security cameras around the house and took self-defense classes to regain some sense of control. The brutal attack had left him paranoid, and every shadow seemed like a potential threat. Despite the fear and pain, Jake was determined to rebuild his life once more. He found solace in the small moments of joy with Emma and Liam, their laughter, their achievements in school, and their innocent questions about life. These moments reminded him of what he was fighting for. As Jake tried to move forward, he faced numerous challenges. The financial strain of medical bills, therapy, and legal fees was immense. He returned to work part-time, trying to balance his job with his responsibilities as a single father. His colleagues and boss were supportive, understanding the trauma he had endured. One evening, as Jake was helping Emma with her homework, the doorbell rang. He opened the door to find a woman standing there, her eyes filled with worry. She introduced herself as Emily, a neighbor from a few blocks away. She had seen the news about the attack and wanted to offer her support. Jake was taken aback by her kindness and invited her in for a cup of coffee. Emily quickly became a close friend, often stopping by to check on Jake and the kids. Her presence was a breath of fresh air in their tumultuous lives. She would bring homemade meals, help with the children's homework, and even take them to the park on weekends. Jake began to feel a connection with her, one that he hadn't felt since before his marriage fell apart. However, as their friendship grew, Jake started noticing strange occurrences. He would find items in his house moved or missing, and Emily always seemed to have an explanation. She claimed she was tidying up or that the kids had misplaced things. At first, Jake dismissed these incidents, but his gut feeling told him something was off. One night, while going through some old files, Jake discovered that some of his financial documents were missing. He confronted Emily about it, but she denied any involvement. His suspicion grew, and he decided to install hidden cameras inside his house to get to the bottom of it. The footage revealed a shocking truth. Emily had been snooping through his personal belongings, taking pictures of sensitive documents, and even planting evidence to make it seem like Jake was hiding something. It turned out that Emily was an associate of Tom, Lisa's former lover, who had been orchestrating a scheme to discredit Jake and gain custody of the children. Jake was devastated. He felt betrayed once again, and his trust in people shattered. He reported Emily to the police, who arrested her and uncovered the full extent of the plot. Tom had been manipulating Lisa even from behind bars, using Emily as his pawn. This new betrayal reignited the media frenzy, and Jake found himself back in the spotlight, fighting to clear his name once more. Through it all, Lisa's parents remained a source of unwavering support. They took care of Emma and Liam while Jake dealt with the fallout from Emily's betrayal. They reassured him that he was a good father and that they would always stand by him. As the investigation into Emily and Tom's conspiracy unfolded, another shocking revelation came to light. Lisa, still in prison, had been in contact with Tom, conspiring to sabotage Jake's custody of the children. She had promised Tom that they would be together once she was released, and in exchange, Tom had orchestrated the attack on Jake and manipulated Emily into infiltrating his life. Jake was overwhelmed by the layers of betrayal. The woman he had once loved and trusted had conspired with her lover to destroy him and take away their children. He struggled to comprehend how she could stoop so low and how he had been so blind to her true nature. The trial against Jake's parents, Lisa, Tom, and Emily, became a public spectacle. The courtroom was filled with tension as each of them testified, revealing the dark, twisted web of deceit and manipulation that had ensnared Jake and his family. The evidence against them was overwhelming, and they were all convicted and sentenced to lengthy prison terms. Despite the legal victories, Jake felt a profound sense of loss. His parents, the people who had raised him and whom he had once trusted implicitly, were now behind bars for trying to destroy his life. The woman he had loved had betrayed him in the most unimaginable ways, and a supposed friend had turned out to be an enemy. It was a harsh reminder of how fragile trust can be, and how easily it can be shattered. The aftermath of the trials was a challenging time for Jake. He had to explain to Emma and Liam why their grandparents, their mother, and the people they had once known as family friends were no longer part of their lives. It was a difficult conversation, filled with tears and confusion, but he reassured them that they would always have each other. Emma and Liam continued their therapy sessions, slowly processing the events that had turned their world upside down. They asked difficult questions, and Jake did his best to provide honest, age-appropriate answers. He wanted them to understand the complexities of human behavior while reassuring them of his unwavering love and protection. Jake also found support in a local survivors group. Sharing his story with others who had experienced similar betrayals helped him feel less isolated. He made new friends who understood his pain and offered practical advice for coping and healing. These connections became an essential part of his support network. One day, while sorting through old family photos, Jake came across pictures of happier times with his parents. The memories were bittersweet, reminding him of the love and support they had once given. He felt a pang of grief for the relationship they had lost, but he also realized that he had to let go of the past to move forward. Jake decided to create new traditions with Emma and Liam, focusing on building a future filled with love, resilience, and hope. They started a weekly family night, where they cooked dinner together, played games, or watched movies. These evenings became a cherished ritual, strengthening their bond and creating a sense of security. As the years passed, the wounds began to heal, though they never completely disappeared. Jake and his children grew stronger, finding joy in the simple pleasures of life. They traveled to new places, explored nature, and celebrated each other's achievements. Their home was filled with laughter and love, a testament to their resilience and determination to overcome adversity. Jake's journey was far from over, but he had learned valuable lessons about forgiveness, strength, and the power of love. He continued to support Emma and Liam, guiding them through the challenges of growing up and helping them understand the complexities of their family history. Despite the pain and betrayal, Jake found a way to rebuild his life. He focused on the future, on the moments of joy and love that defined his days. He knew that the road ahead would have its share of challenges, but he was ready to face them with the strength and resilience he had discovered within himself. In the end, Jake realized that he had the power to shape his own destiny. He had been through hell and back, but he had emerged stronger, wiser and more determined than ever to create a life filled with love and hope for his children and himself. And as he looked toward the future, he knew that brighter days were ahead. Jake's resolve was tested once more when he received an unexpected letter from Lisa. In it, she expressed her deep remorse and asked for his forgiveness. She acknowledged the pain she had caused and asked for a chance to make amends, even if it meant starting with supervised visits with the children. Jake was torn. Part of him wanted to believe that Lisa had changed, that she truly regretted her actions. But another part of him was still wary, still hurt by the betrayal. He decided to talk to the children's therapist about it, seeking professional advice on how to handle the situation. The therapist suggested that Jake allow supervised visits, but only if the children were comfortable with it. Emma and Liam were hesitant at first, but after some reassurance, they agreed to see their mother. The first visit was emotional, filled with tears and hugs. It was clear that Lisa was genuinely remorseful, and the children, though still guarded, began to open up to her. As the visits continued, Lisa started to regain the trust of her children. It was a slow process, but Jake could see the progress. Lisa was making an effort to be a better mother, attending therapy herself and working on her issues. She even started volunteering at a local shelter, trying to give back to the community and make up for her past mistakes. Jake's feelings towards Lisa began to soften. He still couldn't forget what she had done, but he started to see her as a flawed human being, struggling to overcome her demons. He realized that holding on to anger and resentment wasn't helping anyone, least of all their children. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, but it meant moving forward and allowing space for healing. One evening, as they were sitting around the dinner table, Emma asked if they could invite their grandparents over for a barbecue. She missed having everyone together, the laughter and joy of family gatherings. Jake hesitated, knowing that it would mean inviting his own parents as well. But he saw the hope in his daughter's eyes and decided to give it a try. The barbecue was a tentative step towards mending broken relationships. Lisa's parents arrived first, bringing their warmth and support. Jake's parents showed up later, looking nervous and unsure. The atmosphere was tense at first, but as the evening progressed, the walls began to come down. Conversations flowed, laughter erupted, and for the first time in a long while, it felt like a family again. Jake's parents apologized for their actions, acknowledging the pain they had caused. It wasn't easy, but Jake accepted their apology. He realized that holding on to the past would only keep him trapped in a cycle of pain. It was time to let go and focus on the future. As the night drew to a close, Jake felt a sense of peace. The journey ahead was still long, but they were taking the right steps. They were healing, one day at a time, and building a new foundation for their family. Jake, Emma, and Liam continued to find strength in each other. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, built on a foundation of trust, love, and resilience. They knew that the past would always be a part of them, but it no longer defined them. They had the power to shape their future, and they were determined to make it a bright one. Lisa's journey was far from over. She had a lot of work to do, both personally and as a mother, but she was committed to making amends, to being a better person for her children. She knew that it wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face the challenges ahead. Jake's relationship with his parents remained complicated, but they were making progress. They were learning to communicate, to understand each other's perspectives, and to support each other in meaningful ways. It was a work in progress, but they were willing to put in the effort. As for Lisa's parents, they continued to be a source of unwavering support. They were there for Jake and the children, offering guidance, love, and stability. They were a testament to the power of family, showing that even in the darkest times, there is always a glimmer of hope. In the end, Jake realized that life is a series of ups and downs, filled with unexpected twists and turns. It's how we navigate these challenges that defines us. He learned that forgiveness is a powerful tool, that love can heal even the deepest wounds, and that the strength of a family can overcome any obstacle. Their journey was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever came their way. Together, they would continue to build a future filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. And as they looked towards the horizon, they knew that brighter days were ahead.